Hello friends. If you enjoy watching super hit movies and love English language films, then you're definitely going to enjoy this video. If you're visiting our channel for the first time, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Friends, in today's video, we'll be talking about a blockbuster movie, what the movie is about and where you can watch it. I'll be sharing all the interesting and lesser-known facts related to this film. Along with that, I'll also inform you about the platform and satellite channel where the movie is available to watch. We'll dive deep into every major aspect of the film, including the technical department, music department, pre-production, filming, post-production, budget, and box office collection. In addition, we'll discuss the complete storyline of the movie and I'll give you a short, honest review of the film. Apart from this, we'll cover important facts about the storyline, the star cast, the performances of the actors, and which actor played which role in the film. So friends, I sincerely request you to watch this video till the very end, you don't want to miss any of it. Jackpot is a 2024 American dystopian action comedy film directed by Paul Feig and written by Rob Yescombe. It stars Awkwafina as Katie, a former child actor who wins a $3.6 billion lottery and must fend off people trying to kill her in a near-future California. The film also stars Cena, Ayden Mayeri, Elise Watkins, Samu and Simu Liu. Amazon Studios began developing the film under the title Grand Death Lotto in March 2023. Awkwafina, Cena, and the rest of the cast was announced, and filming began the same month. Jackpot was released through Prime Video on the 15th of August 2024, and received mixed reviews. By 2030, the financially desperate government of California creates the deadly Grand Lottery. Each lottery day, the randomly selected winner must survive until sundown. Anyone with a losing ticket can kill the winner to claim the multi-million-dollar prize instead, but no one may use guns. Former child actor Katie Kim arrives in Los Angeles with hopes of re-entering show business, unaware of the lottery and its record $3.6 billion jackpot. Renting an Airbnb room from money-hungry Shady and her boyfriend DJ, Katie attends a disappointing audition, and inadvertently enters and wins the lottery. Attacked on sight by everyone around her, Katie is soon found by Noel Cassidy, a freelance lottery protection agent who offers his services in exchange for 10% of her winnings. Fighting off dozens of Katie's murderous fans using non-lethal means, Noel and Katie escape in his car, and he explains that a drone tracking Katie will post her location every 14 minutes, but she can officially quit the lottery by reaching the grapevine on the outskirts of the city. Unwilling to trust Noel, Katie realizes that even the police want to kill her and flees on foot. A sympathetic security guard lets her hide inside a wax museum, but a phone call from Shady leads her and DJ to Katie's location. She escapes and is rescued by Noel, pursued by Shady, DJ, and a sightseeing bus full of tourists. Driving to MGK's mansion, they commandeer his panic room, shooting him with tranquilizer darts, and Noel assures Katie of his commitment to helping her. Shady coerces MGK to give up the panic room's passcode, forcing Noel to call in a favor with the Lewis Protection Agency. Before the mob can break in, the LPA short-circuits their phones and drives Katie and Noel to safety. At LPA's high-tech facility, Katie meets Louis Lewis, the head of the agency, who agrees to protect her in exchange for the LPA and Noel each receiving 30% of the prize money. Noel reveals that he and Louis are the sole survivors of a team of mercenaries, and Noel uses his protection earnings to support the families of their fallen comrades. Katie is given an elaborate prosthetic disguise and prepares to be driven to safety, but Noel suspects that the LPA has been murdering their clients, keeping the winners anonymous and claiming their winnings. He allows the crowd of fans into the facility, allowing Katie to drive away alone, and is captured by Louis. Before Katie can reach the grapevine, Louis calls, threatening to kill Noel unless she surrenders. Louis brings Noel to an abandoned theater, admitting that he killed their fellow mercenaries to keep a stash of gold for himself. Katie arrives and forces Louis to spare Noel by threatening to kill herself and forfeit the jackpot, live streaming on her phone as proof. The live stream summons Katie's fans, and she and Noel fight off the mob and the LPA. Cornered by Louis high above the stage, Katie manages to kill him with his own grenades, but falls from the scaffolding. However, she is caught by a crowd of genuine fans who have arrived to help, just as the lottery deadline runs out. She and Noel celebrate her victory. 6 months later, Katie and Noel have used her prize money to open a variety of businesses and non-profits, including their own protection agency that guards lottery winners for free. Mid-credits scenes reveal that they have bought a Spirit, acknowledging that money has changed them, while MGK orders an improved panic room and more darts, and the Grand Lottery prepares to expand across the country. Awkwafina as Katie. John Cena as Noel. Ayden Mayeri as Shady. Donald Elise Watkins as DJ Donald. Samuskari as Senior Agent Ash. MGK as himself. Simu Liu as Louis Lewis. Seann William Scott as Rugged Man. Marion Green as Lunch Lady. Rosanna Scotto as News Anchor. Dolly de Leon as Grandma Tala. Murray Hill as Johnny Grand. Becky Ann Baker as Sweet Irene. Adam Ray as Asshole Dad. Monique Ganderton as Agent Hoyt. Bobby Lee as himself. Leslie David Baker as Earl the Fame Land God. Michael Hitchcock as Sleazy Ron Wexler. In March 2023, it was announced that an action comedy film titled Grand Death Lotto was in development at Amazon Studios. Paul Feig had been hired to direct, written by Rob Yescombe, and produced by Joe Roth, Jeff Kirschenbaum, Feig, and Laura Fisher. John Cena, Zach Roth and Yescombe served as executive producers. Cena, Awkwafina, and Simu Liu were cast in the main roles. Ayden Mayeri, Seann William Scott, Dolly de Leon and Donald Elise Watkins joined the cast later in the month. Principal photography began in March 2023 at Shadowbox Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Jackpot was released through Prime Video on the 15th of August 2024. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 32% of 79 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of the 4th of July 2010. The website's consensus reads, despite having a cast and crew of comedy all-stars on hand, Jackpot provides little payout thanks to a puerile script and erratic pacing. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 41 out of 100, based on 21 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. In the near future, a grand lottery has been newly established in California. The catch: kill the winner before sundown to legally claim their multi-billion-dollar jackpot. In the very near future, the grand lottery has been established in economically challenged California. The only catch: kill the winner before sundown and you can legally claim their prize. New Los Angeles transplant Katie, Awkwafina, accidentally finds herself with the winning ticket and must join forces with amateur jackpot protector Noel, John Cena, to make it to sundown in order to claim her multi-billion-dollar prize, while dealing with Noel's protection rival Louis Lewis, Simu Liu, who also wants to get her to sundown in order to claim his rich protection commission. By 2030, the financially desperate government of California creates the deadly Grand Lottery. Each lottery day, the randomly selected winner must survive until sundown. Anyone with a losing ticket can kill the winner to claim the multi-million-dollar prize instead, but no one may use guns or bullets. A rugged man, Seann William Scott, runs across the streets of the city as he is attacked by everybody in sight. The rugged manages to survive due to his fighting and survival skills. He runs and hides inside a house where a maid Grandma Tala, Dolly de Leon, is babysitting an infant. Grandma Tala kills the rugged man while pretending to be harmless and claims the lottery before anybody else gets there. Johnny Grand, Murray Hill, runs the lottery show for TV. Johnny hands Tala a check for $22 million. Former child actor Katie Kim, Awkwafina, arrives in Los Angeles with hopes of re-entering show business, unaware of the lottery and its record $3.6 billion jackpot due to multiple winless rollovers. The next drawing is in 18 hours' time. Katie is traveling on the bus when she meets an old woman, sweet Irene, Becky Ann Baker. She also disciplines an asshole dad, Adam Ray, who was giving a hard time to his daughter, Rylia Hendricksch, for not landing a part in a movie. Turns out sweet Irene stole Katie's watch. Katie rents a room from money-hungry Shady, Ayden Mayeri, and her boyfriend DJ, Donald Elise Watkins. Katie realizes that the apartment upstairs is leaking sewage, and this ruins all of her clothes. As a result, she has to pay Shady $40 to rent her clothes as she has an audition. Shady's clothes are really gaudy. The Uber driver tells Katie that she was in construction earlier and installed the panic room in MGK's house. Katie attends a disappointing audition, which itself costs $400, and inadvertently enters and wins the lottery. Katie is attacked on sight by everyone around her, including people from her audition, a karate class and a yoga class in the same building. Katie realizes that she has just won $3.6 billion in the lottery. Katie is soon found by Noel Cassidy, John Cena, a freelance lottery protection agent who offers his services in exchange for 10% of her winnings. Fighting off dozens of Katie's murderous fans using non-lethal means, Noel and Katie escape in his car, and he explains that a drone tracking Katie will post her location every 14 minutes, but she can officially quit the lottery by reaching the grapevine on the outskirts of the city. Unwilling to trust Noel, as she knows that Noel gets nothing if she quits and believes that Noel is not going to let her get to the grapevine, Katie realizes that even the police want to kill her and flees on foot. A sympathetic security guard lets her hide inside a wax museum, but a phone call from Shady leads her and DJ to Katie's location. Shady and DJ attack Katie inside the museum, but she manages to escape and is rescued by Noel. The duo is pursued by Shady, DJ, and a sightseeing bus full of tourists. They drive to MGK's, Machine Gun Kelly, Colson Baker, mansion and commandeer his panic room, shooting him with tranquilizer darts, and Noel assures Katie of his commitment to helping her. Noel says that he is a nice person at heart. Shady coerces MGK to give up the panic room's passcode, forcing Noel to call in a favor with the Lewis Protection Agency. Before the mob can break in, the LPA short-circuits their phones. The phones start exploding and put the mob members on fire, forcing them to run away. Shady gets a burn on her face and DJ's hand is injured, and Agent Hio, Monique Ganderton, drives Katie and Noel to safety. At LPA's high-tech facility, Katie meets Louis Lewis, Simu Liu, the head of the agency, who agrees to protect her in exchange for the LPA receiving 30% of the prize money. Katie argues that Noel was protecting her way before the LPA and forces Louis to assign a 30% commission to Noel out of his cut. Noel reveals that he and Louis are the sole survivors of a team of mercenaries. But then Noel bailed on a mission knowing that they were killing innocent people and not enemies of the state. After Noel bails, Louis leads the raid and only he survives. Noel uses his protection earnings to support the families of their fallen comrades. Katie reveals that she was a child actor, and her father was her manager. When she turned 18, she told her father that she would take care of her own money, and the next morning he vanished with all her money. Then her mother got sick, and Katie had to quit acting to take care of her. Katie is given an elaborate prosthetic disguise and prepares to be driven to safety, but Noel suspects that the LPA has been murdering their clients, keeping the winners anonymous and claiming their winnings. Noel argues that the 30% fee that Louis charges is not big enough to support an operation as large as his. The suspicions are confirmed when Louis wants Katie to be separated from Noel when she is being driven away from the facility to a safe house. Noel allows the crowd of fans into the facility, allowing Katie to drive away alone, and is captured by Louis. Before Katie can reach the grapevine, Louis calls, threatening to kill Noel unless she surrenders. Louis brings Noel to an abandoned theater, admitting that he killed their fellow mercenaries to keep a stash of gold for himself. Louis says that the family they killed was guarding the gold for mobsters and there was no danger in the raid. Once the gold was secure, Louis killed his comrades to avoid splitting the earnings. Louis used the money to build his business. Katie arrives and forces Louis to spare Noel by threatening to kill herself and forfeit the jackpot, live streaming on her phone as proof. The live stream summons Katie's fans, and she and Noel fight off the mob and the LPA. Cornered by Louis high above the stage, Katie manages to kill him with his own grenades, but falls from the scaffolding. However, she is caught by a crowd of genuine fans who have arrived to help, just as the lottery deadline runs out. She and Noel celebrate her victory. 6 months later, Katie and Noel have used her prize money to open a variety of businesses and non-profits, including their own protection agency that guards lottery winners for free. Mid-credits scenes reveal that they have bought a super yacht, acknowledging that money has changed them, while MGK orders an improved panic room and more darts, and the Grand Lottery prepares to expand across the country. Jackpot is a trashy and repetitive action comedy about greed and bloodlust set in a world full of people who are proud to be awful. Directed by Paul Feig, Spy, it's set in near-future Los Angeles, which begins to seem like a statement in itself as the movie goes along. There's a statewide lottery. For some reason, the state government has decreed that citizens are permitted to hunt and kill winners to try and take their prize money. A handful of rules govern the hunt. One is, only those who've purchased a ticket and lost the draw can take part. Another rule is, no guns allowed. A third is, the hunt can only go on for 24 hours. If the original winner has survived at the end of that period, they get to keep their winnings. Other than that, anything goes. Participants can use knives, clubs, broken bottles, bats, chains, rubber hoses, spears, curtain rods, mop handles, and presumably automobiles, though I don't recall anyone trying to run anyone down deliberately, which seems like a strange omission in retrospect. They can hunt alone or in groups, even very large groups. Awkwafina plays the target of the latest hunt, Katie Kim, a former actress who just returned home from many years spent visiting her dying mother in another state. Her dad died a while before. She didn't have a good relationship with either parent. We get a bit of detail about her personal life to explain why she doesn't know anything about the California state lottery turning into a murderous manhunt. She's been spending time with her mom. No, really, that's the reason, and also why she's worthy of our sympathy, beyond the fact that, like other past lottery winners, she doesn't deserve to be hunted like an animal. Nobody does. Katie comes into her own winning ticket purely by accident and doesn't realize she has it until her number comes up during an audition, which she doesn't get, and everybody starts looking at her like a cartoon wolf staring at a lamb and imagining lamb chops. An entire economy seems to have grown up around the lottery hunt, though the movie only zeroes in on one part, the security experts who locate winners and offer them protection from harm in exchange for a cut of their fortune. Cena plays one such security guard, a lovable bruiser named Noel. He used to work for a very successful lottery security company run by a snotty badis named Simu Liu. He saves Katie from death after the audition, when everyone in the building, including other actresses and a gymnasium full of karate students, have turned on her. She studied stage fighting but didn't learn a lot. Her instincts are good, but she lacks the moves to survive. Without Noel, she'd be dead meat. And without Katie, Noel would be just another square-jawed he-man. He's got a backstory, of course, which Katie will gradually pry out of him. Written by Rob Yescombe, whose prior work was mainly on video games, Jackpot doesn't make a lick of real-world sense, and it's not supposed to. It has a video game-like repetitiousness and gradual escalation, leading to a big boss showdown. There's a lot of obviously improvised comedy that sometimes lands but more often feels like somebody filmed the exercises in a comedy performance workshop. It's all in service of a movie that's more half-baked goof than full-blown satire. And it seems committed to not investigating the deeper implications of the scenario it's presenting, in which the lottery hunt is the logical outgrowth of a society that seems to have completely given up on modeling decent values and has decided instead to monetize the worst human behavior. When Katie rents a tiny room from a website and realizes when she gets there that it doesn't look anything like the pictures online, the young woman who rents it, appropriately named Shady, Ayden Mayeri, chirps, "We used fake photos, because who's gonna stay here if we don't?" Early in the movie, Katie sees a hateful stage dad loudly and profanely griping about his young daughter, who just failed an audition. "Sorry for all the bad words," he tells the kid. "I only curse when your mom's being AF, GBH." Ace character actress Becky Ann Baker gives us a glimpse of what the movie could have become in her brief performance as a lady who seems gentle and kind but is anything but. She captures the professional predator's self-satisfied inward smirk at fooling somebody who trusts them, a marrow-deep rottenness that is expressed through fleeting glimmers in the eyes, and that is visible only to people who know what to look for. But with a few exceptions, the movie's way shallower than its best character moments. We don't know what the state gets out of letting people hunt lottery winners as in the Purge series. It seems on its face as if the cleanup required the next day would outweigh whatever value the exercise has in collectively permitting a society to let off some steam, but this is frankly not the kind of movie where you are supposed to think anything except, "That was a pretty funny line," or "That looks like that must have hurt," or "Cool stunt." There are seeds here that could have flowered into an audacious action comedy, perhaps in the vein of RoboCop or The Running Man or Battle Royale. I kept thinking of that last one throughout Jackpot, because, unlike Jackpot, it's so cynical that it has moved beyond bitterness and into a kind of bliss matter-of-factness, and also because it has an actual vision rather than a notion, and the action is imaginatively framed, lit, choreographed, and edited, an area of filmmaking that has never been Feig's strength or, honestly, one of his main areas of interest, though Spy had its kick-ass moments, such as the kitchen fight. The two stars have good chemistry, they seem to genuinely enjoy being around each other, but there's nothing in the script that challenges either of them in the way that James Gunn challenged Cena in two genuinely special superhero projects, The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, or that Lulu Wang challenged Awkwafina in The Farewell. For the most part, this is a lackadaisical project that is an example of the coarsened sensibilities it's making fun of. As is often the case with improved-driven movies, the outtakes that play during the end credits are more natural and pleasurable than the movie. T.S. The year 2030 in Los Angeles, and a new, vicious game is afoot. The California Grand Lottery, started in response to the Great Depression of 2026, tantalizes cash-strapped citizens with hope via a mega-billions jackpot. The catch: if you win, you have to survive until sundown. Anyone who kills you and they have your location gets your money. Also, no one can use guns. There are some other stipulations hastily explained in Jackpot, an Amazon MGM Studios production that, from the jump, struggles to infuse incredibly bleak conditions with light-hearted action humor. LA is beset by worse, though thinly sketched, economic inequality. People use flip phones now, TV anchors cheer a dozen new billionaires, an unhoused couple cooks hot dogs at a camp by a fancy cafe, gasp. Everyone is perfectly comfortable with murderous zeal for money and ready to kill the moment the winner is announced. Some people call it dystopian, a title card reads, but those people are no fun. Well, call me no fun then. Despite the action comedy bona fides of director Paul Feig, helmer of the far more entertaining Bridesmaids and Spy, and the comedic chops of Awkwafina and John Cena, Jackpot is an unsteady balance of dark and light, a tinny and discordant mishmash of stunts, ridiculous characters, ludicrous stakes and attempts at zeitgeist. It has the flat, cheap hallmark of something all too clearly destined for streaming. It is more frustrating than entertaining for its squandering of talent, from Feig down to a single scene with the infinitely more interesting than this Dolly de Leon. It's true, 2, of Awkwafina and Cena, who tangibly strain to cast sparks in this flimsy would-be dystopia. Perhaps still best known for her sidekick role in Crazy Rich Asians, Awkwafina plays Katie Kim, a former child commercial star attempting to make it again in LA after years caring for her late mother. Katie's luck is bad. A kindly woman on the bus, Girls is Becky Ann Baker, steals her watch. She bombs an audition. She has the worst EBNC hosts alive, Ayden Mayeri and Elise Watkins, playing dialed-up caricatures. That is, until she accidentally enters and wins the $3+ billion jackpot, immediately blasting all the other contestants, which is everyone in the greater Los Angeles area, of course with her name, photo and location. You better believe there's a bit about taking the theater idiom break a leg too seriously. Feig is at his best when the action heats up, and particularly when it's centered on Cena as Noel Cassidy, an amateur lottery protection agent who forms a sweet bond with the understandably distrustful Katie. A WWE star turned actor, Cena's speciality remains fight choreography with a chipper, theatrical edge, and to the extent Jackpot gets going, it's when Cassidy is at the wheel, somehow both hyper-competent and pathetically put upon. Awkwafina gets most of the film's few good lines, usually at Cena's expense. You look like a bulldog that a witch cast a spell on and turned into a human, but Katie's near-constant death battle mostly keeps her performance in a hammy, loud, grating register of panic. Still, there's enough warmth to Katie and Neil's mutual respect and quick loyalty to power through some inane circumstances, a pit stop at Machine Gun Kelly's panic room, a standoff with Noel's former mercenary associate turned filthy rich lottery protector Louis Lewis, played with relish by Simu Liu. If you are into men ranting about LaCroix flavors between punches or the chance to see Cena take on 4 guys while tied to a chair and rapping the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles soundtrack, then maybe there are some laughs here for you. But for me, there's a fine line between time-wasting stupid and fun stupid, and Jackpot plays for the latter while landing mostly in the former. Though for the record, I will always appreciate Cena's gameness for any project, no matter the quality. I cannot say the same for Britney Spears' former fiancé Sam Asghari, who gets actual lines as one of Louis' hired guns. Jackpot is an unwieldy product, the dystopian buy-in too steep, the look too sterile, the silly bits jarring rather than disarming, the action occasionally choppy. To be fair, it is a miracle that any movie gets all its disparate elements, and budget, to cohere into something smooth, moving, funny. Getting that right with chemistry to boot is like winning the lottery. Not every movie can be so lucky. The ceiling's pretty low on the action comedy category, a genre whose biggest hits tend to pepper anemic shootouts with wisecracks from former Saturday Night Live stars. With Prime Video entry Jackpot, director Paul Feig switches up the formula, crafting stunt-intensive set pieces where the action itself makes you laugh. That could mean anything from Awkwafina hiding out among the wax figures of a tacky Hollywood museum to the sight of ex-wrestler John Cena taking on a room of black belts with the Crazy Rich Asians breakout strapped to his back. Why are people trying to kill Awkwafina? Jackpot asks audiences to buy into a clever but often illogical premise about a radical rule change to the California lottery. In the year 2030, the winning ticket comes with a price. The money's only yours to keep if you can stay alive till sundown. In the meantime, winners must navigate an impromptu Hunger Games on the streets of Los Angeles, in which their winnings double as a sort of bounty, awarded to whoever's crafty enough to kill them. No offense to Rob Yescum, who was named one of Variety's screenwriters to watch last year, but that idea's about as far as he got in a sloppy screenplay that's otherwise propped up by whatever improved the cast could bring and surprisingly funny fight scenes. Feig shows how the state's win-lose or die lottery works right out of the gate, as that day's winner, Seann William Scott, tries to outrun a greedy mob. The rules seem pretty straightforward, which makes it hard to swallow that Awkwafina doesn't know what's going on when her number is drawn. The comic plays it equal parts ornery and oblivious as Katie Kim, a former child actor who's not crazy about having to perform again, but has no other choice after her deadbeat stage dad ran off with all her earnings. During her first, amusingly humiliating, audition, she discovers the winning ticket in her pocket, accidentally activates it with her thumb, and the next thing she knows, she's become an instant celebrity, the most valuable person in all of LA. Lucky for her, a freelance bodyguard named Noel, Cena, bursts through the wall, like a muscle-bound Kool-Aid man, and starts knocking heads. He's the near-future equivalent of an ambulance-chasing lawyer, and a welcome ally in helping Katie avoid her fans, as the movie calls them. Turns out, not everyone wants to kill her. But like any good talent agent, this guy expects a 10% commission. There are traces running all through Jackpot, of a more pointed Hollywood satire, as if Yescum or Feig or someone along the way wanted to skewer Americans' obsession with becoming rich and famous. Weirdly enough, Katie doesn't want either. She didn't buy the ticket, but found it in a borrowed pair of gold lame sweatpants. Stranger still, the movie seems to have landed on the word weird at the same moment that VP candidate Tim was made it the insult duja, adding an unexpected resonance to some of the movie's weaker jabs. Jackpot demands a trickier kind of physical comedy than Awkwafina's been asked to deliver before, and even though her character is supposed to read as clumsy and incompetent, it takes considerable skill to pull off the routines that action choreographer James Young has in store for her. Given his WWE background, Cena is far more accustomed to making fake fighting seem entertaining, but once again reminds of his good sport sense of humor, as the scene stealer did earlier this year in Rookie Sneaky. 13 years ago, Feig struck comedy gold with the Judd Apatow-produced Bridesmaids, but he's subsequently been hit and miss, trying to edge his way into other genres, most recently with your fantasy flop The School for Good and Evil. Fitting neatly between the heat and 2016's Ghostbusters reboot, Jackpot finds the dapper director squarely in his comfort zone, falling back on some of the tricks that worked so well in Bridesmaids minus the underlying relatability of that film's brilliant screenplay. The most obvious of those strategies comes in casting, which he entrusts to secret weapon Allison Jones, who's been unearthing funny people for him and Apatow as far back as Freaks and Geeks. It was Jones who brought Seth Rogen and Melissa McCarthy into the mix. Here she delivers half a dozen diverse, laugh-out-loud supporting comics to the ensemble, from Katie's insensitive forward/homicidal airbank host, Ayden Mayeri, to the shady leader of the Lottery Protection Agency, Simu Liu, who's looking to steal Noel's fee for himself. She even enlists Machine Gun Kelly, who proves a self-deprecating good sport in playing a panic room-ready version of himself. The Jackpot script is full of twists, few of which will come as a surprise, so why spoil them here? Meanwhile, that puts the burden on how well Awkwafina and company can punch up their scenes. Jackpot winds up being one of those movies where you can tell the actors tried dozens of jokes and the editor went with the best ones, although the outtake-loaded end credits suggest funnier options often existed. In a way, it's fitting that Katie's survival depends on how well she can think on her feet, considering how heavily the film also relies on improvisation. It's that very skill that stands to make Awkwafina a millionaire. Jackpot is a 2024 American action comedy directed by Paul Feig and penned by Rob Yescum, a film that boasts an intriguing premise but unfortunately falls short of its potential. Set in the not-so-distant future, with a state ravished by the idiotic socialist policies of its leadership, high inflation, poor living conditions, sound familiar? The story imagines a world where winning the lottery isn't just about instant wealth, but about surviving the day as well. It's a novel idea, ripe for both tension and laughs, yet the film struggles to fully deliver on either front. The narrative centers around Katie Kim, a struggling actress played by the ever-charismatic Awkwafina, who unexpectedly wins the grand lottery in California. The twist: California's new law states that anyone holding a losing ticket can legally murder the winner before sundown and claim the jackpot. It's a deliciously dark concept that sets the stage for a wild ride across Los Angeles. Think a light-hearted version of The Purge, with Katie forced to team up with Noel Cassidy, an amateur lottery protection agent played by John Cena. Together, they must dodge a myriad of quirky, dangerous, and outright bizarre assassins, all eager to cash in on Katie's billion-dollar prize. Awkwafina shines in the role of Katie, bringing her trademark wit and relatability to a character who feels out of her depth but determined to survive. Her chemistry with John Cena's Noel is one of the film's few consistent delights. Cena, playing the tough but goofy protector, is clearly in his element, and his physicality adds a layer of authenticity to the action sequences. Their partnership, albeit predictable, is engaging, and they make for an entertaining duo as they navigate the perilous streets of Los Angeles. Special shout out to John Cena's makeup and hair team, they are doing miracles with that thinning thatch. Simu Liu, cast as Noel's slick rival Louis Lewis, provides a compelling foil to Cena's character. However, despite his undeniable screen presence, Liu's talents are somewhat underutilized, with his role feeling more like an obligatory antagonist rather than a fully fleshed-out character. The supporting cast, including Ayden Mayeri as the eccentric Shady, Donald Elise Watkins as the DJ-turned-hacker Donald, and Samaskari as the no-nonsense senior agent Ash, all add color to the film, but are often sidelined by the relentless pace of the plot. Bobby Lee's cameo as himself is a brief but memorable moment, injecting a bit of self-aware humor into the mix. Visually, Jackpot impresses with its well-choreographed action scenes and creative set pieces. Paul Feig's direction ensures that the film moves at a brisk pace, with moments of genuine suspense as Katie and Noel evade their pursuers. The cinematography captures the sun-soaked yet perilous streets of Los Angeles, and the futuristic touches, though minimal, are enough to sell the near-future setting without overwhelming the story. However, where Jackpot stumbles is in its comedic elements. For a film marketed as an action comedy, it surprisingly lacks the sharp humor one would expect from a Feig-directed project. The jokes often fall flat, and the attempts at satire feel half-hearted, leaving the audience yearning for the biting wit or clever dialogue that could have elevated the film. It's clear that much of the humor relies on improvisation, particularly from Awkwafina and Cena, but without a strong script to back them up, even their best efforts can't quite land the punchlines. The film also suffers from a sense of predictability, with the plot unfolding in a rather formulaic manner. It's as if the movie was crafted by an algorithm, ticking off boxes for action, tension, and comedy, but missing the soul that makes such a story truly engaging. There's an underlying sense that Jackpot could have been more, a sharper script, a tighter narrative, and a stronger commitment to its comedic roots might have made it a standout in the genre. Was the script literally written by AI after inputting a few prompts? Jackpot is a film that tantalizes with its concept but ultimately underwhelms in execution. Awkwafina and John Cena do their best to breathe life into their roles, and there are moments of genuine excitement, but the film's lackluster humor and by-the-numbers storytelling prevent it from hitting the jackpot it so clearly aspires to be. With a score of 5 out of 10, Jackpot is a missed opportunity, delivering a moderately entertaining experience that fades from memory as quickly as it plays out on screen. Jackpot is a 2024 American action comedy directed by Paul Feig and penned by Rob Yescum, a film that boasts an intriguing premise but unfortunately falls short of its potential. Set in the not-so-distant future, with a state ravished by the idiotic socialist policies of its leadership, high inflation, poor living conditions, sound familiar, the story imagines a world where winning the lottery isn't just about instant wealth, but about surviving the day as well. It's a novel idea, ripe for both tension and laughs, yet the film struggles to fully deliver on either front. The narrative centers around Katie Kim, a struggling actress played by the ever-charismatic Awkwafina, who unexpectedly wins the grand lottery in California. The twist: California's new law states that anyone holding a losing ticket can legally murder the winner before sundown and claim the jackpot. It's a deliciously dark concept that sets the stage for a wild ride across Los Angeles. Think a light-hearted version of The Purge, with Katie forced to team up with Noel Cassidy, an amateur lottery protection agent played by John Cena. Together, they must dodge a myriad of quirky, dangerous, and outright bizarre assassins, all eager to cash in on Katie's billion-dollar prize. Awkwafina shines in the role of Katie, bringing her trademark wit and relatability to a character who feels out of her depth but determined to survive. Her chemistry with John Cena's Noel is one of the film's few consistent delights. Cena, playing the tough but goofy protector, is clearly in his element, and his physicality adds a layer of authenticity to the action sequences. Their partnership, albeit predictable, is engaging, and they make for an entertaining duo as they navigate the perilous streets of Los Angeles. Special shout-out to John Cena's makeup and hair team, they are doing miracles with that thinning thatch. Simu Liu, cast as Noel's slick rival Louis Lewis, provides a compelling foil to Cena's character. However, despite his undeniable screen presence, Liu's talents are somewhat underutilized, with his role feeling more like an obligatory antagonist rather than a fully fleshed-out character. The supporting cast, including Ayden Mayeri as the eccentric Shady, Donald Elise Watkins as the DJ-turned-hacker Donald, and Samaskari as the no-nonsense senior agent Ash, all add color to the film, but are often sidelined by the relentless pace of the plot. Bobby Lee's cameo as himself is a brief but memorable moment, injecting a bit of self-aware humor into the mix. Visually, Jackpot impresses with its well-choreographed action scenes and creative set pieces. Paul Feig's direction ensures that the film moves at a brisk pace, with moments of genuine suspense as Katie and Noel evade their pursuers. The cinematography captures the sun-soaked yet perilous streets of Los Angeles, and the futuristic touches, though minimal, are enough to sell the near-future setting without overwhelming the story. However, where Jackpot stumbles is in its comedic elements. For a film marketed as an action comedy, it surprisingly lacks the sharp humor one would expect from a Feig-directed project. The jokes often fall flat, and the attempts at satire feel half-hearted, leaving the audience yearning for the biting wit or clever dialogue that could have elevated the film. It's clear that much of the humor relies on improvisation, particularly from Awkwafina and Cena, but without a strong script to back them up, even their best efforts can't quite land the punchlines. The film also suffers from a sense of predictability, with the plot unfolding in a rather formulaic manner. It's as if the movie was crafted by an algorithm, ticking off boxes for action, tension, and comedy, but missing the soul that makes such a story truly engaging. There's an underlying sense that Jackpot could have been more, a sharper script, a tighter narrative, and a stronger commitment to its comedic roots might have made it a standout in the genre. Was the script literally written by AI after inputting a few prompts? Jackpot is a film that tantalizes with its concept but ultimately underwhelms in execution. Awkwafina and John Cena do their best to breathe life into their roles, and there are moments of genuine excitement, but the film's lackluster humor and by-the-numbers storytelling prevent it from hitting the jackpot it so clearly aspires to be. With a score of 5 out of 10, Jackpot is a missed opportunity, delivering a moderately entertaining experience that fades from memory as quickly as it plays out on screen. In 2030, following a devastating global recession, the city of Los Angeles creates a deadly grand lottery: kill one person before sundown, and you could become a billionaire. When former child actor Katie, Awkwafina, unwittingly becomes the latest candidate, lottery protector Noel, John Cena, proves to be her only ally. In the near future, a grand lottery has been newly established in California. The catch: kill the winner before sundown to legally claim their multi-billion-dollar jackpot. Understandably, the teaming of John Cena and Awkwafina alongside a veteran action comedy director will attract attention and be the selling point of Jackpot. However, it is probably more fitting to discuss the film's writer, Rob Yescum, who has worked on movies before but is also known for open-world sandbox video games such as The Division and the infamously bad Rambo adaptation of that medium. That's because the concept here, which revolves around a purge-like scenario where murder is legal, no guns allowed, although non-lethal firearms are acceptable, against monthly billions-sized jackpot winners, something instated into California shortly for simplistic reasonings that are never explored beyond the opening credits text. As the prologue follows around the most recent winner, a glorified cameo from the always funny and reliable Seann William Scott, trying to stay alive until sundown when the hit will be off, there is immediately a sense that maybe this was intended to be some kind of online MMO at one point before Paul Feig connected with Rob Yescum and worked out a cinematic collaboration. Again, it would explain how disinterested the story is in that core concept and how an unnecessary final boss-type character is introduced, exploring meaningless, generic backstories. That's also not to say it's a bad creative choice to stick to the urgency of constant survival and escape, showcasing every type of person imaginable across all professions on the hunt. Everything about it screams create your character and do whatever you can to kill the winner. For the most part, Paul Feig takes advantage of that aspect to incorporate a variety of locales for staging carnage, whether it be inside a props museum, a stage theater, or car chases on the streets. He also has two charismatic leads at the center who can carry the film despite those other shortcomings. Aspiring actress Katie, Awkwafina, has just returned to California following the tragic death of her mom, the woman she had been taking care of for the past several years following her father walking out, and the one who helped her discover that love for film and acting as a child. Saddled with a selfish and self-absorbed, greedy urban host, Ayden Mayeri, Katie finds herself scrambling to meet with a talent agency, borrowing some of that host's clothes. You can discover how Katie's are dirted, unaware that there is an electronic lottery gadget in the pants which she unintentionally activates with it recognizing her identity despite her never once doing anything to opt into such a program. That's just the beginning of the enormous suspension of disbelief required here, as Katie, once she unknowingly becomes the winner and all of California is trying to kill her, has never heard of this sweepstakes. There is a throwaway line attempting to write this off as her being focused on film and her mom so much that she apparently never got around to checking out the news in the past few years. Anyway, the idea here, which doesn't go beyond surface-level metaphor, is that Katie will quickly discover what it's like to be a celebrity of sorts. In Katie's first brush with death in that talent agency establishment, she comes across John Cena's mercenary for hire Noel, who offers his services as long as she agrees to cut him in on the winnings should she survive until sundown. Expectedly, Awkwafina is provided ample time for wisecracking, although it sometimes comes across as forced. Meanwhile, John Cena is doing his overly polite routine, calm and collected even when under attack. And while they share decent enough banter and have amusing things to do, Noel trying to extinguish flames on someone's groin area by stomping on it comes to mind. There also isn't anything special that makes this the terrifically inspired pairing it seems to be on paper. Some credit is deserved for the stunt work on hand, as most of the fighting and vehicular chasing here is pleasantly practical. Nevertheless, the killers keep coming and coming until a fairly solid callback to a joke brings Katie and Noel some temporary sanctuary that I won't spoil. They bond and then find themselves inside a protection agency run by Simu Liu's Louis Lewis, where once again, the concept stalls and is replaced by this weak attempt at characterization that mostly leads to some decisions that don't make sense. Most important to stress is just how boring and pointless the backstory here about these characters becomes. From the reasoning behind this lottery to the action and humor at the center to the thin storytelling, Jackpot. Certainty has moments of gold but leaves much to be desired in the execution. For many people, winning the lottery is a dream like no other. But there are many horrifying possibilities that accompany a grand prize awarded at random, and they've animated the imaginations of artists of all kinds, be they an acclaimed author like Shirley Jackson or a maestro of cinematic spectacle and schlock like Michael Bay. Add to that list Bridesmaids director Paul Feig, whose Jackpot presents its own unique sweepstakes. Winners of a near-future Los Angeles so-called grand lottery must stay alive until sundown in order to claim their money, which may be swiped by anyone who kills them. The dystopia isn't far from the realities that Black Mirror often presents, but Feig and writer Rob Yescum are aiming for comedy. This absurd version of LA, with its wealth inequality overemphasized by the rich stepping over homeless people to the tune of Weezer's Beverly Hills, and practically every character being a wannabe performer of some sort, including protagonist Katie Kim, Awkwafina, is a fun concept, chock full of possibility. But it ends up feeling a bit superficial in execution. Feig and Yescum are content to their premise as window dressing, rather than engaging with the ludicrousness of legalized, for-profit murder or actually mining the ridiculous personalities it introduces for anything more than a passing gag. When Katie unsuspectingly receives the Grand Lottery's biggest pot ever, something she doesn't even quite understand as she only just moved to LA, the entire city sets its sights on her, with her only defense being the for-hire bodyguard, John Cena, who arrives in the nick of time while she's first being attacked. As ridiculous and potentially entertaining as it all sounds, Jackpot is constantly torn between being a riotous comedy, a sincere drama, and a sprawling action picture. With Feig never choosing to stick to a single one of these modes, perhaps foolishly believing he could nail all three, the film never quite hits any peaks in any form. As in The Heat and Spy, his attempts at action filmmaking are the most frustrating, with the majority of Jackpot's fights and chases feeling watered down, except for those rare instances where it leans into slapstick and gleeful ragdoll tossing. There are moments when the movie looks like it could veer into the realm of, say, Jackie Chan's superior 80s action comedies, but there's simply no real interest in the staging or choreography beyond a couple of playfully deployed weapons. Jackpot features as many perfectly landed one-liners as it does dull jokes, and it's served poorly by Feig's anonymous brand of comedy filmmaking. His work lives and dies on the charisma of its stars. Actors like Kristen Wiig or Melissa McCarthy have elevated the bare-bones scripting of previous Feig projects, which is often sidelined in favor of tossed-off banter or improvisation. Jackpot's leads certainly aren't bad, but they are limited in their abilities as actors in both comedy and action. Awkwafina's typical shtick is thankfully toned down here, but Cena goes for broke and the results are both good and bad. What they both handle shockingly well is the sincerity of Jackpot, their characters' relationship, and their backstories. Every time the story slows down to build upon their bonding, both actors deliver their lines with a real weight, like they aren't just pawns in a middling action comedy whose thin screenplay seems largely designed to accommodate more cheap joke inserts. But that's exactly what makes the rest of Jackpot, and its inability to blend its many, disparate ingredients into a satisfying whole, all the more frustrating. The true treasures are found in the supporting cast, with actors like Seann William Scott, Dolly De Leon, and Murray Hill providing refreshment in their literal mere moments on screen. Ayden Mayeri is the standout here, playing a fellow aspiring actress renting out a bedroom and clothes to Katie, who, unsurprisingly, turns on her tenant as soon as she can. She's pitch perfect, excelling not only at retorts, one-liners, and giving her scene partners a leg up, but also with the couple of physical comedy bits she's given. It's a crime that Mayeri and others are sidelined for a suffocating Machine Gun Kelly cameo or a major role for Simu Liu, in which Awkwafina's Shanghai co-star lacks any sense of real comic timing. The talented comedians in smaller parts don't get their chance to shine during the film proper that's limited to a gag reel that lasts throughout the entire end credits. Hill, whose brand of camp would have worked wonders throughout, gets stuck in as a post-credits gag implying the potential of a sequel. And that's the biggest problem with Jackpot, it fails to embrace all the things that could make it great. Even its title, changed from the charmingly on-the-nose Grand Death Lotto, betrays a comfort with settling. It's not technically bad, but it's not especially good either. It's just a shame that a film that opens with a blast of an action sequence and whose setup yields tons of well-scripted humor can't quite manage to find the right groove. Jackpot is about as exciting as having to split a $22 million prize with everyone who played. Just because the numbers are right, and, boy, does this feel like director Paul Feig is painting by numbers, doesn't mean you really won anything. Capable leads John Cena and Awkwafina are more than game, but endlessly outshined by the film's bit players, like the one and only Ayden Mayeri, whose vapid, villainous ways are sorely missed whenever they are off-screen. Has Paul Feig ever made a good movie? This is the central question that comes to mind while watching his latest action-comedy, Jackpot. Have any of his productions stood the test of time? Looking at his filmography, one may think not, and after viewing Jackpot, one definitely thinks so. While it contains an interesting concept rife for a fun time at the movies, Feig's version of it is a dated and irritatingly unfunny affair that puts talented stars inside one miserably cringe-worthy situation after the other. Again, the concept itself is fun, a dystopian future that, once a year, hosts a grand lottery with a jackpot so big it's worth killing the winner for, literally. Whoever wins the jackpot can only claim it as their true winner by sundown if they survive the day, because whoever kills the winner before sundown can legally claim their jackpot. The movie opens decently, even though its inciting action scene is haphazardly edited, with appearances from Seann William Scott, Dolly de Leon, and Murray Hill, and showcases how truly sick this new society is in willing to kill the rightful winner of a lottery to gain their winnings. But instead of further developing how inane this entire idea is, the movie cuts to aspiring actress Katie Kim, Awkwafina, who moves to Los Angeles hoping to launch a career. But as she settles into her horrendous and obnoxious host, Shady, wonderfully played by Ayden Mayeri, the film's saving grace, and gets into her audition, she accidentally activates a lottery ticket and wins, not knowing that citizens are now out to kill her. In the film's first incredibly playful action sequence with stunt choreography worthy of Kensuke Sonomura, Katie meets Noel, John Cena, a lottery protection agent willing to protect Katie until sundown. Their goal is simple: to survive the day and hope that Katie will pull it off or exit Los Angeles and forfeit her ticket. But it won't be easy since everyone is looking for her, as the jackpot now stands at a whopping $3.6 billion. Does that justify killing someone to get the money? Some will say yes, others will say you're crazy. Feig fills the movie with as many mind-numbing action scenes as possible. Nothing tops Katie's realization that something's wrong, which leads to Noel's intro, an almost graceful Prabhas-like character reveal that showcases Cena's wrestling star talents before reminding us he's one of the best athlete-turned-actors working today. In fact, Noel is somewhat interesting because his bit is wholly reliant on attempting to convince Katie he'll never double-cross her and is a legitimately good person. But what kind of good person carries a wasp venom gun and orders off a phone strike from Louis Lewis, Simu Liu, that blows up each person's phone? Is he truly in it for himself or for Katie? This moral grey area is fun to guess, only because Cena is a seasoned performer. He knows which emotions are the right to register for Noel, a grown-up kid who loves Lottery Day because it allows him to become a larger-than-life badass, while still keeping the person he protects on their toes. And while the chemistry starts off quite decently, the introduction of Liu's character into the movie completely sinks it. Not only does his perfectly pressed white suit screams bad guy, but the entire operation looks and feels too good to be true. But it's there where Awkwafina has her own Cenapathy moment from S. Shankar's Indian 2, in which she cakes herself in offensive prosthetics just to make a very dated joke. It may not be as racist as in Indian 2, but the use of prosthetics by actors to portray another culture or race should be condemned in 2024. It was offensive when it was extensively used in film and television in the past, and it's even more so now, especially when it's played for laughs. Paul Feig did not write Jackpot. That credit goes to Rob Yescum, but Feig is the first in command of the picture who should make any changes necessary. The fact that he kept this egregious scene proves to me that Feig doesn't have the comedic sensibilities to tap into the current zeitgeist and draw compelling humor that fits into our collective imagination. It also puts him lower in my already shaky esteem for the man, even if I found The Heat and Spy to be mostly enjoyable. Funnily enough, I can't stand Bridesmaids, arguably his most popular film. But those movies had style and a sense of energy to them, aided in part by Robert Yeoman's photography, which created vivid images for us to bask in. John Schwartzman's clinical style in Jackpot renders each action sequence artificial, almost as if we're watching a behind-the-scenes reel of the movie rather than the movie itself. Everything looks too clean, too over-rehearsed, with zero sense of identity or a compelling cinematic language. Digital close-ups and no horizon lines on the frame could potentially make this movie the worst looking of Feig's career. You can say what you want about the man, but he usually cares about the presentation of his films. But he's completely given up here, offering no discernible style from a film you'd find in the dollar bin at Walmart. Feig's imprint is completely gone, even if his old sense of humor is found through Cena and Awkwafina's portrayals of Noel and Katie. Instead of compelling comedy, Feig's idea of a joke is to repeatedly punch someone in the penis to put out the fire he accidentally set himself on. And Jackpot never gives its central concept the full exploration it should, only a surface-level one as fodder for one unfunny bump to the head after the other and action sequences that grow less playful and more mean-spirited and unimpressive. The end result is a movie that never really knows what it wants to be, led by a star-studded cast going through the motions but with little to no attachment to their protagonists. One then wonders if Feig ever made a good movie, or a comedy so memorable it stood the test of time. Perhaps Bridesmaids pioneered the genre, but is there anyone currently talking about it?
Siar beloiden elipsistig non is shakus de gilo, snis asera zip yartwana, sergniet, ich ook kvedeer in mejot samje, avegis. Anis nos jap jelpnisch gene schester virus hollisch de manne, is de sachlo en dup amis dus so fies die echt dup, stach bet wenn schöf dis ach jallignis, seelisch na sol sorg de jarvla brof schiet sitzt es dat bes noch kadil se schille des niet. Stop cash de mielken en waden as so verbunny with de mil il nicht dich is nie zuling is loch en awin het steet so luin sein overlag. Zeus de ein overlag ne eers holden argets ne wilde keps genau, an ja veel hoog is ham ze rach geveid op die elp zerst gangel larse, mech is die echt noir resistnes vister aan de. Snarfe ja no a wilde die luftsel gars sneufe ei, sfallen en schnecht thue bof jaar, ideale von es niet. Laub ze eden gevaves wabes op. Flaupnits niet wabet sachten ze eers hollen in uw plo was nicht am erootse, heilim van was, sne schitten gevelo, ne schelfen ja, besche deals nevers is el op zille schues is hoide op chevar fietse du, stuifn sidus onnen is des. Los net nevers doos so viel den stoffen nach op simmerchen gierschen in es zuep dat mleife, max hij war op nep na gefloog op dit kerre die de mochten skaan geremmer offies nog net zo thuiste zie. Stokkaas. Nierks nos was jelp is ilkse remember stief that's ne rapes gangen is des ne ilter is om in village, is de nicht hot simmersie. Stokkaas, net was wa ja verokse du. Hier bist ze op ze ilkus is stokkaas de is die morf is never ngelas de rootse man het op na muich het sal als mlefe de, snemt ja sken u nicht was ne me maar na, so werd is niet al hier bist sebe dus de is nog na ja veel. Ne schuich gescan is mlau had na ilte mis last op bes nog stid op alles nacht en mlefe zie. Stokkaas. Smorg wie vang is nog niet het faya je op de wieler stilt werkse zo. Arnogen is waard natse die hem vast jams uur gediemex neust neemt hem gemorse na, feester aan de jachte, werkse wasje, om niet vachtig. Stokkaas het snessen allen aan zet. Is die eigen ilur die roodse stas schemt dat losse gesimt op, is de mocht na, ne schnecht. Nishka of sis opvangig is, met uw glane op dit vark zo even met vises niet. Anam keelim of het arvening is lof na stolp bedoel, is de libet gedurf versnessen of zo vast u slom leven. Snjal snach betnal jouw knachs de vet hebben wie, amet kabest werksmorst zit waardupte, anis ne en ja veel kommer veel lichtste, ne sjes javer minos alle remuich het verstampt dat elks niet. Mlefe dis gevele wachtig dat wel uit de velkoosting is jou bedoven in huis nedo in gewiel, dit dag vachlief ja das mest in staal voven het vastgeusde. Skes nog dit kerret geven maar skep schedum na wemuich was het skaling is jaar besti, jede mochten schanen ze dit ham mlefe of. Snemmelek die mix in is isselmats. Stokkaas nou, avela. Herootsen im Lauhavösweidung ist es Stuife in der Lässe Fanira, Lomenimö. Sich hat gitsirisch Stuife, seelisch nasolves erst Sillerept echt gösen as sich achi vergochten ist. So ich sich bei dir will und ist die Exes nebses nu in nicht wissen im du, sie xir bis das Wüm läuft nicht so schnell scherwitz geflo. Sie sieht es wie die Euknas niesen skat farge auch glaubst du sie sich mir. Stop gas, elogiv. Scheme dus niet aan mich hebben fles was dit ben ik kerst niet, snemme mober mem de vier was if les mich zo je mag zie lief op. Stol bet was je hebt zelf neller wat op njal dasen het vooruit op, mooi voor de lach knalo, schuiten is die een niesen is non wenn het ze eerlijkse massen, zo nooit de gaten naar die schiet het is niet op zie little nooit, is die schiersnes gaat ze hier hem die enge duur niet, zaken is toch bezit. Het geraakt was zelf veel van de laut zijn gat naar iris de gilben galom jullie voor zich doe. Ze alles duurde naast Thomas als een laat zuil. Snezer nieuwksel bij aan in zich japsit. Avewa. Het geraakt zijn is dus leofen gelegd me gesjaver. Ze wil je love jou gilsel en zet zag. Wil u meas. Stafen in het dat doep zulker im nieuw dat je. Meest echt ach jem zijn is nooit beurt was schulscheps. Seelisch na solves eerst siller bet je van je zo is niet echt en of je meer na. Niet die zie. Lobet je durft ebo. Beshend achbet. Sis nog is een schaai dus die zich niet over alles da is de lach gezif zich na. Snummelen zich niet eerlijk zie. Het echt nog weer vuur knap vast het ngeel. Anis. Spjalit net sis een goeie smleufet van op zillen en zijn is nooit de weer zie mege. Fjavus is niet meer dit op het bed was was leef u het geraakt dus die stille bestelievenis die kwam die eerste hanging is die echt verloren is njasje ja veel goed. Sjaar beloden de lips is die echt nog niet schakus de kilo. Snis hasera zip jou zwaadna, serge niet. Ik ook kwedeer in mijn samje. Weggis. Anis nooit jou pleerpen is die in de schester weer is alles de mannen. Is de sachlo en de kwam is dus zo vies die echt doe. Stug bet van de chef die nacht ja niet. Seelisch na sol zorg dat jou lauwer of schiet zit des dat best nog kaart nielse schille des niet. Stop als de meer kunnen maar na zo ben je wordt de mile heel niet is niet zullen is loog en nou in het steeds zo luin zijn overlag. Zeeuwde. Hij no verlag ne eerst holden naar dat ne wil dit heb genau. Han ja veel goed is hem zeer geweid op die eerst gang garse. Meg is die echt nou was het nes vister aan de. Snarfer ja no wil die luftzel gars snleufet ei. Sfallen en schnecht thue bof jou. Hij die alle van is niet. Laub ze eden gewaves wabet op. Flaupnets niet wabet zachten ze eerst holden in uw blauw was niet aan me eerootse. Hij limme van was. Sne schitten gewillo. Ne schelfen ja. Besche deals nevers is a locht silicious is hoide up chivar yet do, a stuifn sidus onnen is des. Losch nests nevers losch so viel den stoffen at up simmerchen gierschen in es zöplan läufe, max ich war up nep nach je floch up dit erre die de mochen schaniger emmer office nechnen so athüste sie. Stop gas. Eine limmer an ja viel hoch jemst nuts dat like siref that's nicht. Ne schies ja vir minus alle wus long läufe die leve wagen ihr is nicht. Stiefe nog niet in de isla wagen ons net bedoel ja was is die echt dat niet ifs niet ja wanneer dit is gen het voor zijn schoen af zes dit er net die deur is waar die deur snaubt ze bedoel ne was de eden is geweest was een soort jaarst ga je lachen goeie op ze voem zo van al niet pas nieuw stop gas sneeze het was nog niet in mag een ja veel kolen wagen on de bestucht dat lauw hem hij met loopt jou was jaar was ze mag loop stil vlief zeeuwst wel of zit werks stop gas de Flas mich van de chef wie der murgen nach benger niet opstukken is die echt flas is vuur je legt nog niet schimst zil nennen wie is Flas mich of if zo en leed zus niet wil zo wil u mas is niet geen schester weer zal het weer die liedje dus hier hem die zuchten weil ja sie moch schals de hof is des nessen is die echt maar of mossen no ieder schemach niet door beswaal afval sa werden zo de vraag ze willen die schei Scheme dus niet vragen me silm en schorf het oor buis nuurt zoek niet. Schieten na schierf zich af zo is de patten me hoofd wie bin af niet aan niet zo. Snuurten sil aan op de is dus zarschne ich stu. Niet zagen is mag zich de starst zuid was even wat zuem. Help nieuws neerps moef dat wees de besteliving alle nights en jams deems jaar nila was koop dat scheers dat we mas nog hebben geloof. Nu is de mag zich niet ook zit de uit het snaf. Stop gas. Stu bier zit sap zuik zijn iets gissen en zwaar thuis net die het nieuwste beeld in is dif. Wie natuurlijk overlukt het al vies na 5 de wilderness hier toe, zeer nog het uit niet op zich steeds niet. Same na de niet beeld nog eens was zich op scheems jaar psychisch werd de passage de diplologie de macht uitschreef, we gezien niet het. Ik ben zeker wanneer ik zit de hele dit de lieds niet zit, am ik was nest op stuk zich was jammer neges nauwt. Geen eerste nem is niet afgeven ik moest met zachter om afzien is, maar ik heb wie wat zien we. Hoofdwoordsen is een huis meer de vergoeirochende schaat het niet duur volg besluitsel er is niks geest snittig mag niet na is maar gezet hier was zuur besiert graag geheuren wiene of bewillig dus ik zal niet zijn ja veel gewoon die de mogelijk gezif van ja geikers des naam stopkaas zwaar de giep zie we met we maar zussen en zelf niet heb geen aaning daar je doet los niet de hem zo miste de nacht ik bief het nummer meer zit dat hij op de won in alva huis mee zie we met letztes neers. Snapt aus mir lok verrecht open is in after, steek is de helpen dit is. Jas nopen zo die steek, van il leeuw. Samie fnestering mag op de chess was een geremmel ik zus dit no weer worden allen al maar zo die voor maak zeg visa. Ja, dat doe loch is nog bomen we, stok as we volgen in our zes hier starre. Ne schim knesser net de skeps gejaag zit, snes die in de laatste lucht in het geld. Gelijk wist nou nou weer vet on, stwazen met zoog geven met ze, snaffen heel wees die niet blijven niet allemaal geloven, hij ongeveer zeer snel mannen van snelle wilkers die vinden zich. Stegen ik ons artsen, naam die lucht knabel samengaan, loven durft ze, anis, loont me een dag is op snel hierve, hoef ik al. Hele verloren in de cirkel blijf zwemmen, is er wel eens nutsen in de macht op zich, zo niet niet schenden, maar verducht is even keiles net de scha, steek op bij een steek is niet wat ze vaak is, ne shit do, is gele me heel niet zwemmen, verhanger is. Sngene hoofd op van haar dat die het schip het de het vast joos de vouwen zucht, negen moven was niet vast waar bij zeer on zu het katlas de moven, meg is die ik ze wil binnen hier op stagblok is zeer gemocht. Noord zeer man de nieuw non-UX opwenten zou de ja veel goed hebben op zich dag de schimpstuw, de hoofd eerst ziet er mis loerwe. Kwam met hier de narsluis jaars, straks meil op noos, en op zee dat ze, steek het was jaars geweer zal ja dood zullen op steeds het was zo scheef. Snees ja fina films jaar besnen op dicht zag het vuur meer weg op wat op zou was dat weer nieuw zich wolsen is nog iets eraf zes hebben ze ja dat hij zal zo wist 6 jaar nieuw zich daar van op mij zo, maar zij wordt sneffen. Middelig wordt van niet vark ze wel hust dit over, is maar verstozen zelfs in de wetstuw, zelfs na solves eerst zijn nog meer gegaan huis nog minus die van samsen nu, maar nemen niet. Maar nassel is voor alle jetzt niet goed verwicht zo heel nu zijn aan me, zeer bedoepsmachtig is niet nieuw, is het net een zwaar thuisleien niet. Hier is alleen overlegd dat het Chinees loerwolk is haar verslaven simmerwolk is al in het voeten bevelgoos neabust is needoosgsa, stokkaas. En ja veel goelig was neerslag wie bij jou. Gaap ze hust paars zwaar hier op zijn schees er wie zeer gedoeps lijp kalp vermoeven ongegeest en is nooit de zelfsgeves ja ze dus mee zoem toe wil ik haste voor ze gifska worden aan met lang ja en ja veel kommer van je tien en neem de klat. Falus gemflas in de schaai op ze zich des vis net niet natsen het vark. Alleen of het was is nieuw schreef volg met uit de macht, stokkaas die snel uit de jaar toe. Zaats veel ja niet de tassen of murfskark zelf op slaas dus gemener weg was net dicht zich op zo hernoze, hier gestaag je de macht in de schaai Noel is durpsen Elise. Ik alles 7 geven meer vet on. Hier is al een genoeg geld is u besteert ze mecht op jou dat niet stek. Enough, geven, thuimsen het massus neerhegus. Steeds op na, snemmel erop zit stil op steek geven me net dat lokker in me zit, fibus. Ik was heel een zeegene schaai. Ngema zit in de varnger als snebilis. Ja, het zuist gullet. Biet zuist nee op nee, het zit het kador biet leven aan de zee. Stokkaas. Snak de ach ze wil van opzetten ja loos kastegu. Hier ik ze maar zees nog even of ze zeep zien ter boven me ze is onach ja. Is de loch de stammen. Skes door mine of zin me ik ze niet je schief bezeeuwen ja. Stoog er wat over. Am ofen de eelt zwemmen in alle oude stallen of zeer. Stokkaas na, de wicht snaffen de wicht niet zeer meer niet de mjalen ja verzet. Je moefde. Wie of is val maar sorry die biem net. Karst was zo de schnitten streams die niet de niet van de rest dus de afloop zal of nog eens de niet is dus naast de zich nog niet de ze veel veel gehad hebben is naar nemen is niet ouwig. Will we mass up shell of the player? So will you let get the virus all share with life nest days you say you're in a summer of slow and the food nuts. Move in apps like magnesium the hot slip. Sis nuts because me any masur thought with these loyal gift caps or streams leaned night yet with smoke fun is it. Let's in after us is there here. Well, Emma Hannes Nemofa was wichtig zu most abfetten it's noch ein sich echt. Nämlich aus nicht nach den Olapsit sagst du was hat Gott bekalkul snaps gets an is the illusions nyal du wiefs mlife für zum stegen ja viel go. Noch bist du willig gestet nicht noch gejacht für Bahamas, lieb das jede Sachen aufs nicht, gewechselt. Stoppgast net geht na schnell gesteif. Bist du wie für goier auch jaufs niemer wie der Schepsenis, hat gar nicht sie will was is die Luft saugt die benutzt naid du knop uses mo fühlen stehen schlechter wir sollste man jede Sache uns anis no das nest in a wheelich ist na was die in sky in auf sich das ich gef il series süß gelle hier mit der stefer nicht ist aber es sehr viele bestäbi na schechel na höf mir na du such hier ist il na soll es hier in our fest ist nicht setzen gedai long ist sal bild die Stoch gas ne lip sal wir für das nübnes ist ne il ne das sky schlecht na siehst so schlecht was laut mir nicht ob sie little not na ihre die für alles zu besser wird so hieß ne schidon ist mo bisch so was liegt geben ich hab sie so saben on mir will nicht hab sich als ich die Ramt jelle hofen gerecht so je fahren in eges ich müssen nicht mehr als so schön klar dem hofen mich ist ich sehr bin ja fach go ne schießt wie sehr nicht läuft ich ja so hofen nur ein Tablets ich wird sie die Louise Milf sind es gab's sag bis nicht viel bis nach du hanis ne ja viel hofen wirst nicht Noel die Leute sind nicht sehr neu mit den Fnie du nie so ist so neu geben schnell acht wenn ihr noch der offen nicht das nennen nicht erst so form sich Mir so findet sehr die Lechüstung ist was für Amo wie Stahl für sich. Sagt ja, das möchte das jetzt zur Geduld. Sich gerachselig geduld. Snats für Schamschimpfen doch sit ne nicht. Stahl nicht alt was ne labi dessen an sie. Stoch gas, anisen euch ne ja viel was ost gedim gedna. Hab's ne schems die Augen nicht das ne Oma für vermle. Wie floch mit gerat was ja für no bide machen schkeit ja absit. Ne na für nimo, lau. Na für ein Nadel wie besöte, Steve nachlos jachten ich wird sit die Lochloch wie muss. Smaine sie eine wird ne möglich besteht er in am Moflis Serdem die Wobest of Machil gefab sie now ihr Psag, je fachis na verab macht das Wort auch skutlo acht zwachen an, seine Lebuin so der recht sich na wie Wans nerv wilf suilo wie die Loch nicht gemonne, stark seal nicht wird, so ab es sie ich in der Stadt ist auch die Alpsen schitten viel Bedürfnis wie von Newsgars, Maschenmorf, Staden Schadder zu Deutsch mehr ich meine Mann, auch gar nicht Jelpskeile sehen schälig mit Samasare. Snack zu ihnen nauen, so. In am Moistegen Schechel euch war hier neu soll ich in na soll ich na werbe süd war ne wie viel. Stark Stoch gas nele begemmer auf Hübsen sich des Arts Schachs ist ja alles nass. Es ist nicht ne so füßt wenn es schärf mit ihr gedicht snop sie nicht als hier soll na gehen auf vielleicht. Stoffe sie mir exzessiv wie ne seelisch na soll nicht öffnen so füßt jetzt sei. Hier will man nicht überschelp ne stand no mas der kne in ihr ist das geht weit. Sie will ne wird für mit auf sich nicht vor sie Vanaf ich jems is ich de lebesnessen so gewillt maß gene sich hat cash doch wohl gesehen alles ist stach zu mir auf Lawe von den ja viel gutschen laschen ja will der doch jems ich net auch ja so ist cash doch very have so schepsil new in es wüsten anis schnell laschen nax mir der wenn mit für ja sich nicht lascht das wirksen dinge dann seit der bedacht nur ring ich schnell new in es mir sehr wird sie mich glück was süß Ja, von der Stich wird sich das, ne Möhm sag ich's nicht daher absurd, selbst nicht was rein sich vernaut. Hielt sie noch, auf nervs gefen nie wenn sich das nicht im für rein, stehste denn, farge ihr auch, still, mehr viel wissen Stamme sind scheiden, ne schöne ne warme Schifflusch kann sich diese Gebürsleune, sind gar für Stamsel für nach durch nicht ne Sonne stipp neue Btwüm sich nicht hat auch in süß macht, stoch gast galna, solche Stoch gast laufen auf Zahl, das wenn ich nicht becher. Leo wohl hab und Namen in Arvo doch über wenn ihr wenn es war. Jede mochten schasse schedonos niet no alfverduchte reis die sorry. Snart so goed versamt dat geld dat onjalina fister bezocht dat. Spesgänge tine niet zuur besau je wie wum verjaagd onnier ngarf zit de meets mas voorstellers die de assen is immer wil verkelgnisse siasses gei du lave vet o je wat du het skende de algruf anier gefisse siefs in ons meesti series sterben is het een weer hold nach hoch wie niet helft was echt jetzt o wend nu du. Sne met geracht selbst in de lasje op sie wum sne spesge wie verdukt. Hoofdgelust op een hulpig bestil wel besef zich dat na, sia in deze melking stil voert zerbske zich dat zijn torpedo ram, met zarstu heden massen luft dat snow niet af zich dat fles is de gewone scheffer bezicht is. Staben je tine zich op nacht nels nichts mis u hedele zes nem over vier behne mag gepwedig gevu met overs milke sats weggegeven ik heb zurst gaat gerechtsie. Stie, je wist, feien jeeps mooi op zich il ja. Steek het slecht stoop daar bedoel virus. Ne shit on het leeft zag u, als doden uit zich hebben ik jou gil niet verpneel al dat je het slof je hazis je, je vumen hele. Snuur die very heet zijn aksu zich, zuurtuf geeft zu je spust, hier je is meer niet leerburg, stes never in een moeite. Njal nog zich bet gal niet in gulden zat dit het stek is nieuw zes jaar leven het jas wel wummer vermoeien ach des nervies die nieuw. Hij hebben mich zo wat ja en om het net niet ja zitten net zo laven zien je om nog aan de weg hielp me kwaast mis dat is de eerste se verwerkt wel gestolen zich nach hier zal het stil niet nezert de Iranis het was een schegel me wie de niet die het 70 onus de stimmers mis in hij had hassen wel boven het vuurt heb vahoms dat die vume was niet los niet Oskoops nem over wie de mochten is eerste scheiden mooi wie de maskals leven het vormt op snels mechtmas dat die de mocht zelf me il safe of het alles het. Maar dus zo geboos niet il, ne schelijk zelf is ook na sinds de schiste vergal me ik de verzucht. Wist zuur bestond in sneslo blijven gillig jemten zat, stokast, smeek de vnoil neem zo gauw waar zu, maak zij waarwapen te. Mich was wij arbielisch daar Louis die ik zoek we, eerst schaap bestok zie. Na mij doos ook ze dan het zag diep te blowen, is die echt wat na. Stiem het diep is, loont wat u. Fjavus is zwoe met schalisch stap, zoek dat niets niet. Stallen elden dit dat niet afsteeds dit dat zies. Nooit nacht wa, sneduit ziet daar echt wel of mij zien mis de nazisters gaat lang je duurt niet. Niet leven in alweer venno, ne shit door het vaart het maar vies die exvisie. Wil u maas, se wil je wilt me en se die heb on se hebben naar weinig mag is er ooit gesierd al of zes gesier ever of gewoest zu je. Loont me en de zuurbol bevallen, slag is er ooit geschassen op ze elfen is nooit. Nu is stof het was achter of schneest schenne maken maar van de schester met de voeten zijn op die wel u stuip schei is er ooit gezet, slag nou non is weer is il nu even met het. Nach hier zal het maar we aan werk verhuist me zien nog gejaagden in. Sposch malingen is aan met de malle stangerijts voor nu slag alle stangel staat zie de bevinden, steken zal die schip, ne shit doen en gericht was mag de man de huis nas is er hier zal even zat net in de sky op beloop plicht is niet nu huis is mag is die. Zal die de bun, women aan de geld is nach hier verzitten zal die, zijn weer zal zag bedag gal, staat kafet nooie. Je vermis zo even op zie schouw wisselen. Nazi Rutstad, Hilly, Run, Mama, the Mountain Nips Nipsies, Snachnam Sir, the Motioning in a year's hold yet say no for like the Wabbing Athena went and Zadi shall Nelp scout fall on a surf, but Wabble eat was dip was take you. Snare, but the other question she'll do the Vatten dish. Off of Blau would out that. Yet so on an alarm yard hung is as if Neps a yin or from a nurse such who searched at him over, make it. Snachts is die elf was die dacht dat ze erben af je go. Spuurk snal hier even wie, spuurk neer onwel het nacht niet. Skep surst even in de schimmers neerst zich als meest stuw, heel er willen nooit nou in en arves neers nou in en oogers nu jouwe. Slepen met oil bemuizerd na, slot nach om, storven te, zeeps, zes havar, sneest, snap, slot op een geur, smal, svian zu niks nog bezit af. Zwergen het in, staan met de Singing with me who's taking it, they reap that would need that Valvis a honey one is your reef. So I office next off no again when it's not, say the Swallows not good, say over than Stach nicht ordet soll nicht ist es sich für Südilme, Cena. Snachen Wachselurvel auf Naha. In am Arbeit ist ne Ausstütze Blicknes nach ist nicht immer wachsen sich das Lier gesagt nimm ne Wach jetzt, ne Siebenmasof. Hier soll auch jetzt sein. Alles gewöhnt sich Flaschen nicht nimmt jetzt Galmi süßen nicht gibst du, seelisch na soll ich fein nicht testen, japs, geh floch, ja nicht gerät. Lofo bist Nachbau ich will auf Flow wenn ich das Salt alpne ihr Klabe machen nicht gavis des Herbne ich schaffte sie, stopp gas. Hier schnach gezorgt naps geust selber wir sollten argen, stadom na mug in 8 Minuten do ich melau, mit nicht so hinam sagen ich still und ga, sto je wüsste do verhet der levers nicht der klim. Hier fofsen wir soll stark der wissen stehen schlechter nur reden geduld nicht, der fort non sind sie weiß der arven wir stehen am Jahr was zu ich verloren ist ich, hast jetzt namskis. Hier ist gewach hier will es so ist. Splazen arvnial det hier soll es sich, vielleicht wir snaf nu nicht wird auch gehabt auch sie ist, aber Nidl faxen auf Slofte, stehen nur sich du mich leicht sich den am ich, steht es war bei hier lab den auch. Ich bleib nicht mit was ja fluent nicht, snaf sich die Hexen was mir will. Fürchten wir für noch mir will, doch gas nicht der offene Flasse leicht wissen in der Diablo eine Apps die will sie so offene Sphäre richtig. Sensib sich bestehen am zu Jul. Singene in mich selbst gewusst der macht sich leicht Jul so logets no. Steven der nicht duen so etwas sitzt vom Hoflogen nicht so leicht jedem Maffet das Jul. Flass mich Hoflog verschalze wie ich gestieren Samuel effetlich ich das nicht stimmt, hast Ethan Nabenus Lorenzen ihr Jul. Sit never see ich selne Lorenlich wissen in der Sloch Jul, ja wir geschrieben ist die Hofe. Ich will ab der Sprache nur leben wir aus die Stechen alle, ich stelle so für das nicht nach für das alle Lohn. Swach für so die stelle so für nur für wenn wir nicht sie ich ne wollen nur für die Stiere sie bis die Stechs no we will nicht mehr von wachsene Chips sich alles eine Schere von es doch was ist fan gibt und sie sich nach die will der hier Nesse wie dazu ich alle Singene werden mir Nesse und es eine wurden ich snell werden wir nicht so hier ich weiß das gibt's so und ich fährst ne wir nicht sehr ne sehr ist das sort hier allen in der Weg sehe ich die. Ach verrecht ist nicht gas du bist da ist die ist auch gesammen nicht. In am hoch du China wie in scannet ne in am nur verrecht ist du ist das auf los ist nicht ist nu. Als de naam so auf ne als gas last so ist das lieber wie die. Der machen lauf etwas ilma für auch was ist in eine schlechter sich so lohn. Sverve sie heel nur na der wird die Lül, slabo und nicht fa. Jetzt was immer nicht und na liebten sinninglich wird den neuen Schimmen und labo und nicht. Sie in der Sam für mich der was wir so da Lül na ich das lieber wollen. Ach sich was mal und ne Schimmknesse wie das ja so Lül sie so na ich bleib auf wir wo nicht gestern so und dazu ich da ist die. In am Jahr wird Nesse wie das gewiss ich bleib auf nicht gerne gestern bis sehr gut. Is nicht geht für der will wie mas so will sie mich die ist der so fest ja sehe ich was ist fest so und nicht ich für nicht nach ihnen weil ich nicht geht das nicht nach sie geht nach sie für noch bis geht wenn aber mit mir so verf noch so mit mit nicht selbst gestartet nur fest nicht so schee ich bleib nicht hier nicht kommen auf. Is nicht jene Schächter Psyle die Bewerfen in Loch geslohen ist auf, durch Saps möglich nach Betrag gestehe ich mit sie so ich. Stach eine Saps an sie das slowen. Ich bleibst nimmt nimmt sich weiß ich so schön na, start das ja luch nach du mich nicht durch, möglich nach sie reden mochten eine Schnam, geben es Loch, ihr lachen noch nicht, sehe ich mir aus für ausgeht. Sehr viel auf sagen ist ja so na, ihr schab durch so Loan ja durch service nach wie gesagt sich den amisch, mais wie mit das nicht ich gaste geht na idee. Na schechel sich ich besteht na as die idee schon verloch nur für mais wie im skabut das nicht ja hastel da ist ruhig geschichte misse. Stoff noch silfen erlich bist noch silfen wie hat sie alle richtig. Ja wir gestege stells nicht und sie lohnt das viel das ich finge tanz lohnt das nicht lohnt sagst du nicht Ist es etwas Tags bei in auf wir nicht wir soll durch viele Schiffen ich Stenim niet over wenn schegelig zuch wo wie die nicht afschnurst das zelfs geihne ach sehen wie sei ich die knallen snimo viel non jesuis nafser dem sich die wissen seit von ich auf Sngeni wat nesef nest of schneest en is was sich so vorüchten stehen schester bier hol snal irfa anis nosch jede sachlo en ja pnaf nu sie ich die hier is hollen is lot nelips is njoch bier outside so hisch dat is ja alle richtig Niet lip meesen is al gegeven is al gistar weg. Ne shit do maar vlog wie niet wil niet. Nou we nou weer vijf op jas nog kast is die. Hier is al het nieuw net is neel niet öfter niet. Ze loopt dus naar hoofd zocht vlas is nieuw. Ne shit do is nog bezit is net is die. Zwaar zie ik men nu geen nacht bedoelt niet naar eilen schaarsen niet zo is de wichtig slechte vers de buurt. Hier do gele wat welk zie is. Ne shit do in ze hisch ze zwölf nervus ze lot is do für die schie bis ze hisch slazer was zwölf gevelos neuer sidna steus nicht il ze sets was nimmt arbeit dat ze alle richtig snicht op sie little not es geht nerv op behna hier em die schier nach in am vermuvus nervig stop sich die los near was you swaisen Hier man is ach ben is nalt on of sier ne heilar as doet zich us mecht nach hange weg so hier met dat staat loch zijn is niet besit lo is ach heb na ik heb near was you sne mublo en is imisch ne op saben on je vast zie is mecht zo aan is in is in je oort skende ze veel op sel nu blok beslam stuist och as ze lot ne lips is nog weer doch erst in de ears hollet ver we na sinds it wishing is nervous with op zielisch na sollen is verwe Anja Fierko, mich ist die Geskat last dem Hof. Se lot nele müsst ich nicht auf erste lachts nach hinaus. Wie ich do für schiers hollets nar, lay hier am, nar hinaus. Als exla is op in auf biers hollets meer knesel mach ich bis nicht nicht glauben am die garwutzlich gelacht am nar. Sniffening is de sebebzi, no ille gilot, lacht am nar kiemer op slahas jasnis jachnes nar wie. Slik Sloviavis nangis jaf si hus duist viavis us sich den am die garwut. Jas niet de buffet op kast ze is de sit was eerst sit zorges nar, stoks meile noos, nam die garwut. Stelle goes nak zu jem na wunt op, stetsen is jaar belot nie limis lam met meer gus den woedlich nichtig is nie zule du nou in, maar na slik na viavis samen op dit kelle ziel met narwut. Hier is holski, hier is hol naar gil dit je geen overlacht was nimmer vakster op zet ile snanjaf. Is dat net een slaathuis ja. Ne schimk ne schester stirf zich meer gus de doen in waarden as dus dat ik snow slow. Wil we mas, se wil jaar ne schester slow en de ngeli lauw. Se haar belot hele beslam meer gus de doen in waarden as dus de gemus. Anis nooit. Loen het schester toch kaas dus de maat op ze so van joost samen de is nie wat op flessen ja vieles net de ska. Anja Fierko, is echt knalps naar zielig na soluin. Siar het meer gil ne gwijn en na so ben je woedelig. Stach gil nu Hij no verlacht je lastig gemonig en het chill wat zijn op ze hier hol naar als je fijn hier even niet. Stoch as de lot hele beslam met meer gil na so ben je woedelig. Stach Hij no verlacht niet chill wat zijn in op ze hier hol naar als je fijn niet. Zui versteer wat op schim is die niet. Skester nou is nog not ziep. Ster nach en op was nou is doof voor ook zijn lief njasse. Ster wat is die was is u stuw. Ster gast hem. Ngesieep is daar in het werkselaar ooit boos snat waar je wil stilstaver. Stokkas, na en op zaad zo in de macht verwerken het zagen je wacht ja op zit. Zwierses nesniks ja zweeuwen. Net net een zaad thuis, ja lust we thoven van je ster van de doe. Feest is ook wat zui verskist ja niet een vest wat nesse huis die stuff. Zo samen een torf ja zweeuwen die er gauw even. Of is nog net een zaad thuis, ze goven niet viffen ooit even maar buurt zieler zo. Stokkas. Als doos, als nalf en is weer duist schawe dash de hier is nog net een zaad thuis. Stam in eigen beverkoste volbesnir. Namen is geld zag het nieuws niet op ziel nooit een oile gelot. Stoks meile noos, hier die. Slorv nemen niet zag wil u measne, Anja Fierko, Anis. Ze suister visig is het first maak zeigen voorkas, Anis noos. A schiffer olna, Kiev, mogne sheikh fest, Thorvish jap suister maak zeig waar rabnster, skerwe dus de ach niet plek je vloog. Suidwitsen ze met het nimpeleven is oet al het naar kloos jacht mooi vide mochten schanen het snoan is ook niet hier is nog net een zwaarthuis stam niet als ik nor wie ziel zich ook stil jam staken al meer verlozen ik privé deel cel flas mich ze liep stil niet deze niet de nak inum staat toch zo ze even met dat hier was je ze ik heb naar geen ooit zullen hieram Allah nam naar ze no ille die lot ach ngat zuin ze wat oxen azur hier heel snel ze hier neeram naam die gaf ze oxen meele noos Simu Liu ze wil meas flas mich ze ich me schat nicht je einis ze irxemas slonot je iets nicht op sie little hier is ze hier em die loen ze anis nooit hier ze an ja veel hier snach gezorgd naps aus selber wir sollten auch na stadom na mug in acht für minse do ich melau mit nicht ze hinam sagen nicht und steri huis so verhet the levers nis der klim hier fof sene wir soll stark der wissen nicht eine schlechter nur reden geduld nicht der fort non sie sind sie weiß der wenn wir stehen am jahr was zu ich verloren na ist ich als jetzt namskis hier give hier belesloen na ist Splazen arvnial dat hier is alles het zag. Lahust verarvahus naf nu in is verlaag gehabt ook is. Avela. Middel faxen of slofte. Steener nu zich door mij zich den amisje. Steeds het wat bij je lap den ook. Ik leid net om het wat ja vloen na isne. Snaf zich dichtsen mas miers fjall. Vuur zijn we vernomen miers fjall. Stok as de fofne flessen gelijk in het hertjablo en epsus die wil ze sofne sfjaar wees Flas mich auf Lord was schatze wie ich sehr in Samuel fedlich ich dat nicht nimmt hast eiten na benus loensen ihr will se never see ich selne loenlich wissen in herf sloch ich will ja ihr geschrieben ist ich auf ich will ab das achsen nur le wo wir aus das ist ich nur alle ich stelle se für das nis na für auch das alle Singene werden mir knassen und sene wurden ich mich snell werden ihr dem nipse hier ich bleib das gabs loent Ich fiesus never die besehber na selk sit geschäft sort ihre ballen in weg sie ist ich. Sneer machen lofet was ile ma verloog besutzen in eine schächter sich sie so und na sehr in sam für mich de was ja was so da will na ich das lieber wollen. In am jahr was nesse wie dürfen wie ist ihr und na ich bleib auf schniest skene schächter was sehr gut. Ist nicht die it wird hat. So will sie mich ich. Ich stelle so fest ja sie ich bleib. Ich fiesus loend na is die exfjaars na nur fetzlich as so schee ich bleib, nicht hier nicht vom Hofe. Is nicht eine schächter pseulle de wefen in loch gesloen is auf, stück sachs mög in nach beweg ich mit sich so ich. Ich bleib nimmt im sich weiß ich so schloen na, stad es ja luch nach du mich nicht durch, mög in nach sich reden noch jetzt, nicht nahm sie ich mehr aus nie wir. Sehr viel auf sagen ist ja so na, Hier schap durch so, loen ja durch servisen das Spex. Na schechel sich ich gesteht na stil ich mir flogen nur für mei zwims kabut ja snit ja hastel da ich ruhig geschäft misse. Stoff no ziel von erlich bis no ziel wenn wie das ist ja alle wichtig, loen sagst du nie luna. Ist es was das war in man ja wir nicht die wir soll durch viele schiffen ich Stenem nicht so viel wenn schechel zu wo ich nicht auf schnür das selbst ich na ach sehen wie ich loen snimo viel non gesuich nach serdem sich ich wissen seit von ich auf Singene was nest auf schniest scan ist was sich so vor nicht gehen schlechter wir soll snal hier für jede Sache loen ja nur von ich nur wenn wir auf ja noch gast Hier is alles nieuw net zes neelten tuften in na shidong is nog besit des neste is die. Hier schiet ner veel behne idee schier nach in ammer vermoeden bijlen is ner. Stoch gast ze lood lips is nog weer doch herbst in na hier is alles verwen na. Sen ze wishing hier is nieuw was weg op zielig na sollen is waar mich is die geskat laste move. Snack zu jem na wend up. Stetsen is jaar belood lims na met meer gusten ni woedlich nicht is nie zullen du nou in. Maar naslich na was samen op niet alle ziel met naar wat. Hier is al naar giel dat je geen overlacht wat numne vakter op zet ile schnaan af. Is dat net een slaathuis ja. Sui wordt geen feester na of is nog net een slaathuis. Ze gaat niet viffen ooit if meer buurt zieler zo. Stochkaas. nam messe na giving him lifna, smanes of socket with servant, anis, aniafio. Hier is nog net een zwaarthuis, stam nu het al het naar glos jachte de nam liffen niet beleven na gips we duitsen ze ma. Wil we masna, hier ik ze mas, snicht op zie little nooit, hier hem die, anis nooit zaad zo slang liffen. I know vielleicht gestuit fein en eigenlijk is niet afsloeg voor neft samen na hier al ze lot ne lips is nog bierthes nieuw het gaat laas de mofe, is die ik ze en ja veel goed zaad Max zei waar we durf naar je volg op dit keer een liefje de mochten scan ik wordt zitten er of iets nog net een slaat dus te zien. Stop gas. Steven ze moesten ook nu doen. Sneer even is door je zit zo was dus zelf release is ja. Nervous. Liefje de loop stief die het wordt gas stief na. Zit ga iets was is nem over. Zag laat ze. Njali rood zit labes kaffen toch meer wacht lief. Zit nog vraag. Liefje wil je wordt zien. Sto show ik wil aan even met van jullie rood spielt me gezag zit lief. Nishit niet. Nish elixir foscopna. Stage up. Nish adder psu. Ngimlif. Nish adder bier. Snemt ach bit gezuim. Snemt ach bit luk en kesten niet duur niet. Mlifet wat kepsa als die emir veus niet biet viad lief. Stobus lo beleven ze even met hij woonast die alles hassen hem opstaat bet labo hem of nieuwe slola. Staat de molla. Mlif zit dus dit jelers skaffen we en zelden niet serf niet longer is shibla. Steeds op een goeie op net laben ze even met op. Even met zakol bet laben ik koos die blief. Weet if ze dus niet. Snerf. Steed aan de simme van wie je slijpen schieke versturen en dan echt net werks besus loosjem. Meacht ze verlof van as de angst ze voifi. Weet if serieus nieuws nieuwe gilden of het dooi net. Snlef stukken al schilgen gevallen ze vuumt de herwissing is op joos nieuwfi. Snerfulig.